Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 562 based on novel. So let's start. Even if it was nonsense, according to feng shui, someone buried in a dragon vein would have a noble fate law. Once the fate law was determined, their descendants would all benefit. Wang Lin didn't believe in feng shui. He was a powerful cultivator who could move mountains and seas, change the earth, and even create stars. For him, something like feng shui could be created and controlled. But at this moment, he could still use feng shui to interpret the scene that shocked everyone on the immortal astral continent. Getting buried in a cave meant that their descendants would have more riches and less disasters. Once they were buried in the master cave, many of their future generals would have riches. Once they were buried in the dragon vein, their descendants would have great fortune. Similarly, once they were buried in the master dragon vein, their descendants could rule the country. Wang Lin's avatar was located at the birthplace of the celestial and ancient ancestors. Although it wasn't the same platform, this platform was part of the original platform. As a result, it was the same as Wang Lin having the same fate law as the celestial and ancient ancestors. This fate law was not cultivation. It was something far beyond what cultivation could achieve. This fate law wouldn't reveal itself too much, but as time passed and his avatar grew, Wang Lin's future would be unimaginable. Wang Lin wasn't clear about this matter. He only understood a few things and had a lot of speculations. However, he didn't believe all of this. He was more convinced by his own effort and persistence. What he anticipated more was the day when the avatar walked out and threw its strongest punch. On the immortal astral continent, the moment the third vortex appeared, everyone felt shock no matter what their cultivation level or status was. Even the 9 suns had serious expressions when they sensed the third vortex. The third vortex seemed to have just been born and was still unstable. There were countless distortions, but it existed outside the vortexes of the celestial and ancient ancestors without collapsing. And it was rapidly expanding. After a long time, the 3 vortexes slowly dissipated from the endless sky. It was like they had never appeared, disappearing without a trace. Everything returned back to normal, but the fear left in everyone's hearts took root and continued to grow. This matter was like an omen that pressed down upon everyone, making it difficult to breathe, and countless thoughts appeared. On the immortal astral continent, after the 3 vortexes disappeared, in a town somewhere, there was a 10-year-old child. He had one hand on his waist with the gesture of a king and was waving a wooden stick in his hand. A group of children were being led by 2 frowning cultivators to go to a nearby sect to be tested. If there was anyone who had good talent, they would be taken into the sect as a disciple. "I will one day become a king." A persistent voice echoed in the heart of this child. Also on this continent, somewhere far away, a young child was wearing a Dao robe he had gotten somewhere, looking like a heavenly child. He was inside the house of a large family. He had a smile on his face while several people respectfully bowed before him. This old man has cultivated for 3,000 years and has now reverted to a child. I need to go through 9 reincarnations to recover my cultivation. You all have invited me from the countryside, so I'll stay for a while and form a Dao link. The ancient aura from the child was something even mortals could feel. It felt like the person that was sitting before them was not a child but an old man who had lived for thousands of years. In particular, the spirit in those eyes seemed to see through life and made it so you felt like you had to believe them. The feeling of decay made the entire room feel grim and gloomy. Looking at the trembling mortal that was hit by this decay, the child looked normal, but in his heart, he was smiling like a flower. HMMPH, this little lord's deception is something I have mastered without a teacher. These words sounded real even to me, as if I really did reincarnate. If I really have reincarnated, then I must have been a heaven-shattering liar. I'll spend a while here to not waste the few months I spent with the bodies in the cemetery. There are also the expenses from traveling from the neighboring country. I must earn it all back 100-fold. In the void, Wang Lin's body was surrounded by fog. This fog was the Mosquito King, and it carried Wang Lin as it flew forward. As it charged forward, the law of the immortal astral continent seemed to decrease greatly. The amount he felt was something he could bear. Although he had lost his direction, the mosquito beast seemed to feel something, and it continued toward that direction with Wang Lin. Along the way, the mosquito beast was very excited. It sometimes looked back at Wang Lin and let out a happy cry. It really liked being around Wang Lin. It felt very comfortable, as if it was with its parents. However, even with the Mosquito King leading the way, as they went deeper into the void, the pressure from the law of the immortal astral continent became even more powerful. Although Wang Lin had the avatar inside the stone shell nourishing his original body, the pressure became somewhat difficult to bear after a while. The main problem was that he had to ensure that Li Muwen was not injured at all. If there was no Li Muwen, the current Wang Lin would have no problem with the law of the immortal astral continent. Due to the Mosquito King and his avatar, he had already adapted. He had such an advantage and was still suffering. This just showed how terrifying this void was. No wonder no one without the proper bloodline has ever come out of this void. Carrying Wana was equivalent to giving up the bloodline, Wang Lin silently pondered. He had already forgotten the passage of time. He didn't know how long he had been here, but he understood that it was already past 10 years. I fear teacher can't wait anymore. If he has gone back to the ancient Dao clan, then once I reach the immortal astral continent, I'll have to depend on myself. Wang Lin's eyes shined and were filled with determination. This is no problem. Back then, I left planet Suzaku by myself to explore the brilliant void. Then I went from the brilliant void to all heaven, then to the cloud sea. Later, I went to the ancient star system by myself. Now I'll just go to the immortal astral continent alone as well, it is no problem. On the other hand, I must quickly increase my cultivation level on the immortal astral continent. There is also the Donglin sect that I must go to once. If I can enter the Donglin pool, when Wang Lin thought of this, his heart pounded. It could be said that Wang Lin really wanted to enter the Donglin pool. He longed to make the illusion from Fifth Flower a reality. He longed to have Essence true body so he could battle against arcane turbulent cultivators. There are still some old friends on the immortal astral continent. I don't know who has managed to reincarnate. I wonder if Sichu Nan got to be a king. I don't know if Liu Jinbia will continue his path of deception. There is also that devil, Shuligua. I wonder what kind of fate he will have on the immortal astral continent. There are also Qing Shui, Red Butterfly, and Li Qianmai. Wang Lin had his memories and the Mosquito King to accompany him in this ovid, so he was not lonely. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. 3 years of time slowly passed as Wang Lin recalled the past. The Mosquito King had slowed down a lot. But it had brought Wang Lin to the end of the void. They were very close to the exit. This exit perhaps was not at the place that Xian Luo had waited, but a place the Mosquito King had followed based on its vague memories. This place may lead to the Heavenly Bull continent or it may lead to another place. It could even be in the ancient country's 36 states. In these 3 years, Wang Lin focused his full cultivation on Li Muwen. Under his protection, she was very safe. On this day, he saw light in the void before him. This light wasn't bright, and it came from a slender rift in the void. He could see mountains beyond the rift. Bursts of aura unique to the immortal astral continent came from the rift. Wang Lin's tired body immediately trembled. The Mosquito King was also very tired. It struggled to bring Wang Lin to the rift, but in the end, its body scattered into mist and couldn't take form. Wang Lin's heart ached for the Mosquito King, and his right hand reached toward the Mosquito King. The Mosquito King turned into an ink tattoo that imprinted on Wang Lin's arm. He didn't dare to open his storage space. When he opened it last time, he could sense that it was unstable and about to close. He didn't know if the storage space was going to explode if he opened it, or if it would still exist on the immortal astral continent. Wang Lin would have to spend time to figure out these unknowns. Aside from some pills and treasures, there was the madman and the woman in silver inside. These two had the bloodline from the immortal astral continent, so even if they were in the void, there wouldn't be any problem unless they were like Wang Lin, who was trying to protect someone while entering the immortal astral continent. After taking away the mosquito beast, Wang Lin carried Li Muwen and adjusted himself. He opened his eyes and stared at the rift. At this moment, it was like back in the foreign battleground, when he tried to escape after turning into a soul devourer. He erupted his full cultivation and rushed out toward the rift. He was very fast and instantly closed in. He was spending all the energy he could on speed, the rest was being used to keep Li Muwen safe. He was using just his body to charge forward. He was getting closer and closer. 1,000 feet, 500 feet, 300 feet, 100 feet. Until he was only 10 feet away. Wang Lin's body seemed to be burning and he felt intense pain, but his eyes shined brightly. Immortal Astral Continent, Wang Lin, am coming. The Heavenly Bull Continent was part of the Eastern Continent, the land that belonged to the Celestials. It was a remote region filled with mountains. If one looked from above, most of the Heavenly Bull Continent was filled with mountains. Rumor had it that in the early years, the Heavenly Bull Continent was a vicious heavenly beast that the celestial ancestor killed and then placed here. There were even more rumors saying that all 72 continents were, in fact, 72 seals to suppress 72 fierce extraterrestrial beasts. Even the 36 states of the ancient countries had similar legends. However, because it had been too long, no one knew if it was true or not. Perhaps only people like the 9 sons and the royal families of the 2 races knew. For other cultivators, this was irrelevant and they couldn't sense the existence of the fierce beasts anyways. The rumor of the Heavenly Bull Continent came from ancient times. The reason there were so many mountains was because each mountain was formed by a bone of that fierce beast. In the Heavenly Bull Continent, there were 2 famous sects. The Guiyi sect and the Great Soul sect. These 2 sects were very large and were part of the 9 sects and 13 factions of the Eastern Continent. These 2 sects had a large number of disciples, but because the Heavenly Bull Continent was equal to dozens of cave worlds, it was rare for them to encounter each other, so there weren't much friction between them. The Great Soul sect was very strange. They cultivated large amounts of different methods, but the most important was soul and illusion. Fan Shanmeng was a disciple of the Great Soul sect, and her various illusion spells showed the power of the Great Soul sect. Rumor had it that there were 9 layers to the illusion spells of the Great Soul sect, and in the end, they would turn illusion into reality. It was extremely terrifying. As for the Guiyi sect, they focused on the 5 elements. In addition, they had their unique armor-forging method that made them famous. Below the Guiyi sect and the Great Soul sect were the scattered small sects. They were controlled by the Guiyi sect or the Great Soul sect. Every once in a while, they would need to send out offerings to the 2 sects. The 7 Dao sect that was created by the 7-colored celestial sovereign was one of such sects. However, he had taken a Great Soul sect disciple as a Dao partner and was therefore protected by the Great Soul sect in the Heavenly Bull Continent. His talent was also amazing, so he was valued by the Great Soul sect for a reason. However, during the recent decades, a core disciple of the Guiyi sect named Yunifeng had become famous. Rumor had it that he had gone into closed-door cultivation for a long time, and after coming out, he was extraordinary. He had challenged many core disciples of the Great Soul sect and had won against all of them. Even ordinary elders of the Great Soul sect were not his match. As a result, Yunifeng's reputation rose and he gradually became rank 1 among the new generation of disciples of the Heavenly Bull Continent. There were also people who put him among the previously named 4 heavenly geniuses of the Eastern Continent and called them the 5 Peaks. However, this Yunifeng was very modest and would often shake his head when people compared him to the 4 heavenly geniuses of the Eastern Continent. It wasn't that he felt like he was lesser than them, but he felt contempt toward them. 10 years ago, during a competition between the Great Soul sect and the Guiyi sect, Yunifeng injured 9 disciples and 3 elders of the Great Soul sect with 1 hit. When people compared him with the 4 heavenly geniuses of the Eastern Continent, he said something that shocked the entire Heavenly Bull sect. My sword can injure a lot of people, I even dare to fight against those 4 heavenly genius. Although I might not win, I won't retreat a half a step. However, I met a cultivator that only cultivated for a little more than 2,000 years in this world, and when I stood before him, I didn't dare to draw my sword. Forget me, even those 4 heavenly geniuses are not worthy of being called geniuses. In my opinion, in the new generation, no one is his match. This line set off thousands of waves and caused an uproar. Everyone who heard this was shocked, and they all thought of the same thing. Who was this person? Who can make Yunifeng say such words? To make him not dare to draw his sword before that person? And that person had only cultivated for a little more than 2,000 years and could do this. If this was all true, then the 4 geniuses of the Eastern continent were really not worthy of being called geniuses before that person. While this line set off a huge stir, at the same time, a lot of people questioned it. However, no one in the Great Soul Sect questioned it, as if the people of the Great Soul Sect knew this person. This strange phenomenon seemed to set off a huge uproar. The Great Soul Sect's silence caused a lot of people to speculate. Who was this person? He could make Yunifeng not dare to draw his sword. He could make the 4 geniuses not worthy of being called geniuses. He could make the Great Soul Sect not dare to rebut this. It was as if the Great Soul Sect had silently agreed that such a person existed. Even the Guiyi sect didn't say anything after their disciple had said something like this. They seemed to know that such a person existed. Who was this person? He will appear. Once he appears, you will know. This was the last thing Yunifeng said about that mysterious person. Although several years had passed, the rumor about this mysterious person didn't stop spreading throughout the Heavenly Bull continent. As it spread by word of mouth, the rumor became even more exaggerated. However, this was a question without an answer. As for the people who knew the answer, none of them spoke. After more time passed, this rumor was no longer as intense, and it slowly hid inside everyone's hearts. Perhaps one day they would find out who this person was. The Blue Dragon sect was a mid-level sect, and its land was comparable to less than half of the Brilliant Void. From the perspective of a cave world cultivator, it was not as large as the Thunder Celestial Temple or the Cultivation Alliance, but it was still a behemoth. However, on the Immortal Astral Continent, it was just average. The Immortal Astral Continent was rumored to have 30,000 celestial sects. No one knew if that was true or false, but every sect was indeed very different. The name, Blue Dragon Sect, would make you think they were related to a dragon, but the cultivation methods their disciples used had nothing to do with dragons. The Blue Dragon Sect disciples were all good at making puppets to help them in battle. Disciples often needed to refine their life puppets first before they could go outside. As for the puppets, they had different rankings and powers as well. Besides using special wood or mechanics, beast or cultivator corpses could be refined into puppets as well. Puppets weren't that mysterious, cultivators of other sects all knew a bit about them. However, the Blue Dragon sect's puppet spell had its own specialty. It would convert one's body into a puppet in order to achieve immortality. Rumor had it that the first person who reached the Void Turbulent stage in the Blue Dragon sect, Grand Elder Duqing, was a person made of wood. Normally, he looked like a normal person, but once he used spells, one could see his wooden body. In the Heavenly Bull continent, the Blue Dragon sect had a vicious name. The disciples and even elders would use various means to obtain what they wanted, which included killing others for treasures. However, Grand Elder Duqing has a deep relation with the Great Soul sect, so they would do as they wished, and few sects dared to provoke them. The Blue Dragon sect also carefully chose the people and sects they targeted. If the target was not to be provoked, they would avoid them. Their main targets were people from the other continents. If a cultivator from another continent passed by, that was their best target. Throughout the year, the disciples were mostly outside, wandering, searching for information to send to the sect. If they encountered an enemy that was difficult to deal with, they would often call for more people to attack in a group. Kang Ren was a third-generation disciple of the Blue Dragon sect. He was cunning and cruel and was very famous among the third generation. He was also quite valued by the sect. He had a good eye and could often tell at a glance if a person could be provoked, thus avoiding getting the sect into trouble. He was a handsome man, which made it hard to imagine that he was a vicious person. Even some second-generation disciples didn't want to provoke him. On this day, Kang Ren was flying through the sky. He went to the border of the Heavenly Bull continent to see if he could find any foreigners passing by. As he flew, there was a sudden change in the distance. He saw a rift appear over there, and with a flash of ghostly light, a figure fell out. The figure seemed to be carrying a coffin as it fell into the distance. All of this happened in a flash. The moment the figure fell, the rift in the sky disappeared as if it had never appeared. This sudden change shocked Kang Ren, and he rubbed his eyes. He had never encountered such a thing before. He looked at where the rift was and felt like he was hallucinating. However, he soon became excited and his eyes shined brightly. He charged toward where the figure carrying the coffin fell. There is something strange, there is a problem, there is a treasure. Kang Ren's heart pounded. The Blue Dragon sect was founded by Du Qing, and this was the first sentence of the sect's rules. Over the years, this line had been memorized by every disciple of the Blue Dragon sect. Something that was strange had to be a problem, and if there was a problem, there was likely treasure. Kang Ren flew at full speed but still cautiously protected himself with treasures. As he flew, he heard a muffled rumble. In the distance, the figure carrying the coffin landed on the mountain. More than half the mountain collapsed from the collision, revealing a motionless, white-haired youth. What a powerful body! Kang Ren's eyes were filled with greed as he carefully closed in. Kang Ren first circled the area a few times. After carefully observing for a while, he slowly closed in on the collapsed mountain where Wang Lin was. He stared at Wang Lin, who was lying there, and his eyes were filled with excitement and greed he couldn't hide. Such a powerful body! This is very rare for people not of the ancient country. Looking at his appearance, he lacks the stars between his eyebrows and doesn't have the aura that those brutes from the ancient country have. This person should not be an ancient country cultivator. For a cultivator to have such a powerful body, I wonder how he managed. Kang Ren licked his lips and his heart began beating even faster. He felt like his chance had arrived. This was a fortune given to him by the heavens. He didn't expect such a thing to fall before him while he was just flying through the sky. This person's aura is all gone and he is in a semi-dead state, just perfect for me to refine into a puppet. With this puppet, I can sweep through all second-generation disciples in the Blue Dragon sect. If I can catch the eye of the old ancestor and get accepted as a disciple, then I'll pierce the heavens. As Kang Ren thought about this, he became even more excited. Although he was excited, he didn't forget to be careful. He stopped a few hundred feet from Wang Lin and even prepared to escape to call his sect if things went badly. After all, if he couldn't have it himself, reporting it to the sect was still a great achievement. His right hand formed a seal and a rift appeared on his wrist, but it disappeared quickly. An ink-colored jade appeared and a violent aura quickly spread from it. Holding this jade, Kang Ren threw it without hesitation. The jade flew at Wang Lin and landed on his chest. With a bang, the jade exploded and shook the mountain, creating a powerful impact. Under this shock, Kang Ren retreated 1,000 feet, and the excitement in his eyes became even stronger. He didn't fight back. He must be dead and not just passed out. Kang Ren smiled quickly before charging forward and instantly arriving next to Wang Lin. Although the impact of the jade was powerful, it wasn't able to injure Wang Lin at all. In truth, a jade with only the power of a Nirvana cleanser cultivator would not injure Wang Lin even if there were tens of hundreds of them. As for the heaven-avoiding coffin, it was still being protected by Wang Lin, so it wasn't damaged at all. Forget Kang Ren, even a cultivator who had gone through several arcane tribulance would find it difficult to damage the coffin. When Kang Ren closed in on Wang Lin, his eyes narrowed and he looked at the heaven-avoiding coffin behind Wang Lin. He saw the woman inside. Although the woman was extremely beautiful, that sleeping appearance caused evil thoughts to appear in his eyes. Ha ha, I didn't get a good look before, but it turns out there was female cultivator here. Good, good, I'll refine this female cultivator into a puppet too and have her serve me. What a joyous thing. Kang Ren licked his lips and his hand formed a seal before he pointed at the sky. A rift appeared on his right wrist and a large net flew out. It trapped Wang Lin and the coffin on his back. Then Kang Ren waved his sleeve and he was surrounded by black wind. He thought he had obtained a great fortune and flew into the distance. I've sure earned a lot today. Ha ha, heaven has eyes, and it really wants me to make it big. Kang Ren was very excited, and he didn't dare stay outside for long. The only thought in his mind was to head back to the sect to refine the puppet. The Blue Dragon sect was located on a huge mountain range surrounded by poison. The nearby mountains were hollowed out into countless stone rooms to act as caves. It was difficult to see the end of this endless mountain range with the naked eye. There were nearly 50,000 Blue Dragon sect disciples, but most were out or in closed-door cultivation. Aside from the annual meeting, it was rare to encounter each other. Kang Ren closed in on the sect as a ray of light. Although the mountain was surrounded by poison, the poison moved aside when he entered. It was obvious he had something to protect himself against the poison. After charging into the poison, a giant mountain appeared before Kang Ren. There were countless caves visible on the mountain. Just as Kang Ren was about to enter the valley, a roar came from within. "Who dares to break into the valley? Report your name. If you don't report in 3 breaths, you will suffer the consequences." There was a flash of coldness in Kang Ren's eyes as he stopped outside the valley and roared, "Virtual cloud, what is the meaning of this?" "Oh. So it turns out to be junior brother Kang. The fog was too thick, so I didn't see clearly. Didn't junior brother Kang head out? How come you're back already? What did you capture with the puppet net?" The voice was casual and a hunchback youth walked out from the valley. The youth was very handsome, but his hunchback destroyed all the positive vibes his appearance would exude. Instead, it seemed like something was off about him. "You too nosy." Kang Ren let out a cold snort and charged into the valley. The hunchback youth revealed a vicious expression as he stared at where Kang Ren went. "There is something strange, there is a problem, there is a treasure." As he pondered, he left a puppet here and flew toward the valley. As for Kang Ren, he flew through the valley and closed in on a mountain. He instantly entered one of the caves and waved his left hand. The door to the cave slowly closed and a formation activated to make the door extremely strong. He was still not certain, so he waved his hand and 9 puppets of varying ages appeared to guard the door. At the same time, 2 more dark wooden people appeared inside the cave. As Kang Ren walked out, the 2 men made of wood revealed ghostly light in their eyes. Kang Ren didn't even look at them as he walked past them. He arrived in the depths of the cave. There was a night pearl here that released a soft light that quietly illuminated the cave. However, the light wasn't strong, so it made the cave feel dark. There was a formation about 100 feet wide that gave off burst of purple aura under the light of the night pearl. This aura made the formation look very strange. Beside the formation, Kang Ren waved his right hand. Wang Lin, who was brought by him, landed inside the formation. Kang Ren excitedly rubbed his hands together as he stared at the formation surrounded by fog, his eyes shining brightly. "I must refine it as soon as possible. That virtual cloud is very vicious. Once he learns that I've brought a puppet back, he will have some scheme in mind." Kang Ren waved his right hand and portions of materials used by the Blue Dragon sect to refine puppets flew out toward the formation. At the same time, his left hand formed a seal and pressed it against the formation. The formation rumbled and began to activate. The fog formed a vortex. Then a source of fire was pulled from the ground under the formation, causing the cave to be filled with heat. The heat wave landed on Kang Ren's body and immediately caused sweat to appear on his forehead. "Every time I refine a puppet, I need to use the earth fire, which is simply too hot. Only those powerhouses with a fire essence cannot be affected by the earth fire, they can even use it to cultivate. I don't know when I'll become a powerful cultivator too." Kang Ren's eyes were filled with longing. He sped up the extraction of the earth fire and began refining. He kept throwing materials into the formation, and his expression was very excited. "No matter who you used to be, now that you're in my hands, you will become my puppet. I'll refine you. I'll definitely refine you." When the formation activated, outside the cave, the hunchback youth was respectfully standing on top of another mountain, and before him was a white-haired old man. This old man's face was purplish-black, which formed a shocking contrast with his white hair. The aura of an early-stage nirvana void cultivator spread out from his body. "You dare to disturb this old man's closed-door cultivation for such a trifling matter?" Even if you have a personal grudge against the Kang Ren, as the old man spoke, his eyes lit up and his gaze penetrated the cave Kang Ren was in. He felt the formation that was used to refine puppets rumble. The hunchback youth knelt there and whispered, "Teacher, there is something strange about the puppet he brought back. Kang Ren is rarely ever so hasty. I have known him since he was little, there must be a problem. That puppet must be a treasure. I hope teacher can steal it and give it to disciple." The old man was still looking into the distance and, after a long time, his pupils shrank and he stood up. Seeing the old man standing up, the hunchbacked youth revealed a look of joy. To extract so much fire, there is indeed a problem. Forget it, follow me to see what kind of puppet he is refining. The old man waved his sleeve and walked out of the cave. The hunchback youth quickly followed while barely suppressing his excitement. As for Kang Ren, he was soaked in sweat, but he was even more excited. He was no longer sitting but walking around the formation. He continued to place seals and throw in various materials. The excitement in his eyes became even more intense. I have used all my materials. Once I succeed in refining this puppet, ha ha. Kang Ren had forgotten about everything and moved even faster. Wang Lin was lying inside the fog and was surrounded by fire as if he was burning. However, the flames around his body didn't burn him at all. They seemed to be excited and continued to enter his body. Just at this moment, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. The moment he opened his eyes, the ink tattoo formed by the Mosquito King on his right arm opened its eyes as well. The Mosquito King's eyes were filled with a terrifyingly cold gaze. This video will end here.